So like 21.3, we will all be buried with our families and friends. Strangers will live in our homes that we worked so hard to build, and someone else will own everything we have today. Most of our possessions will be given away or thrown out and destroyed, including the car that we spent our fortune on, and will probably be scrapped. Our descendants will hardly know who we are, nor will they remember us. How many of us know who our grandfather's father was? After we die, we will be remembered for a few more years, and then we're just a portrait from someone's wall. And a few decades later, our history, photos, and deeds disappear into histories of oblivion. We won't even be memories. If we pause one day to analyze these questions, perhaps we would understand how pointless it is for us to worry about 95% of the things that consume our minds daily. If we could only think about this shortly, our approaches, our thoughts would change, and we would do things differently. Perhaps we would feel more free to enjoy ourselves and our lives that we're living. Take these thoughts into the rest of your day this week, this year. And remember this saying, if it's not going to matter in 5 years, don't spend more than 5 minutes being upset by it.
Good evening, family. Good evening, family.
Evening.
We're here at the Secrets to Success and Wealth Creation, Mental Health and Wellbeing podcast. And we're here for 4 weeks. And the idea is for us to have a roundtable conversation about men's mental health and healing. Before I go into introducing the hosts, I would like to open up with a word of prayer because I believe this is a secret to success prayer. So if you don't mind, join me in prayer. Father, we thank you for your mercy and kindness. We thank you for another day. We thank you for your love. We thank you that we're able to come boldly before the throne of grace, seeking help in the time of trouble. Lord, you said, if my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and turn from their wicked way, then you will hear from heaven and heal our land. We pray for healing, Lord. We pray for healing of our mind, healing of our soul, healing of our spirit. Lord, I pray that you use this opportunity for us to come together as men to humble ourselves and to share one with another secrets to success. I pray that those that are listening in will listen with an air of wisdom and they were able to apply some of the experiences, the stories, the information to their lives to make changes that will glorify your name, Lord. Sometimes we lean to our own understanding, but I pray that you will direct us in our conversation. Let the words of our mouth and the meditation of our heart be acceptable in thy sight. And I pray, God, that some of us know you as Allah, some of us know you as Buddha, some of us know you as Jesus, but now unto him that is able to keep us from falling and to present us faultless before the presence of your glory with exceeding joy, to the only wise God, our Savior, be glory and majesty, dominion and power, both now and forever. And all God's soldiers said, amen.
Amen. Well done.
Amen. Yeah, so Marky, I'm going to pass it over to you just to set the tone for what
just
these 4 weeks
read out a few words to kind of set the tone for what we're going to be talking about for the next 4 weeks. May his wisdom and guidance flow through every word spoken and every listener's heart. May the show serve as a catalyst for change, breaking down barriers and fostering understanding between men and women. I pray that as these conversations unfold, men will solace in knowing that they are not alone in their struggles. May they feel empowered to open up, share their experiences, and seek the support they need to heal and grow. May the stories shared on this show inspire men to prioritize their own well-being, recognizing that self-care is not a sign of weakness, but a necessary step towards becoming the best version of themselves. May they find the strength to confront their inner demons, break free from social expectations, and embrace their true selves. I've got to put 100 at the end of that line there. Our true selves. I pray that these conversations will also ignite a spark within families, communities, and the nation as a whole. May they serve as a reminder that true change starts from within, and that by addressing the needs of men, we can create a ripple effect, that positively impacts everyone around us. May women, listen carefully, ladies, may women, as they listen and take notes, gain a deeper understanding of the unique challenges that us men face. May they learn how to provide the support, love, and understanding that men need without judgment or expectations. May they become allies in this journey towards healing and growth, standing side by side with their men in their lives. And as these initial conversations pave the way for something greater, I pray that doors will open, opportunities will arise, and resources will be made available to further support men's mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. May this show be just the beginning of a movement that brings about change, lasting change, and a renewed sense of purpose for men everywhere. In all of this, I give thanks to the Most High and our Heavenly Father for his presence and guidance. May his love and grace surround each participant and listener, creating a safe space for vulnerability, growth, and transformation. May this show be a testament to his power to heal and restore, and may it bring glory to his name. Amen.
That was good, Mark.
Very fitting.
Very much so.
So should
I
we
agree.
just start off by introducing ourselves and start with my learned friend on my right hand side. Go ahead, sir.
Myself,
Yes, sir.
introduction. So my name is Anthony Scott, but everyone calls me Scott. My background, I've been doing professionally helping work with young people and families for about 20 years. 2016, I qualified as a psychotherapist. So now I have different roles that I do. So I work for, after the lockdown, I just made a commitment to myself that I'm never going to work full time for one employer again. So I have a number of different roles. So I do clinical supervision for one organization where I have all of their practitioners and I provide like a space for them to think about the work and the impact that that work has on them. And then I do lots of training. So I work with this really kind of well-known young people psychological service called the Anna Freud Service. And I go up and down the country sometimes, Wales, Liverpool, etc., etc. And I do lots of training to like multidisciplinary teams around adolescence, trauma, mental well-being. And then I've got my own private practice where I do my own client work, where I see clients. And that's just a little bit about me. One of the things that these guys know me by is Mr. Turn Your Hand. So part of my own kind of well-being is that I do lots of stuff outside of work to promote positive mental well-being. So cooking is one of my favorite things. My background, I'm from the sunny island of Jamaica, from a little never eat shredded wheat, from the west coast called St. Thomas. And my grandparents were very influential in my life. And my granny used to always say to me, don't sit down idle, you must learn how to turn your hand. So I've adopted her motto, and in life I turn my hand to many different things. I've known some of these learned fellas here for quite a number of years. Milo, I think I've known him for 20 years, and we met on a different circuit. I think at that time in my life, I was a little bit more rogue than what I am now. But our friendship has developed, and that's men. We've had disagreements where we've had what we call straighteners, where we've had to straighten problems out. But the respect and the love is always there, that we can have these straighteners and understand it's never personal. It's just we can have differences. And then some of the other guys here, I've met some of them on different circuits. i.e. Spencer, who's going to introduce himself, and Mark. I met Mark over South London. He had a sound. Mark's going to tell you about himself. He's a phenomenal man. And I'm really kind of blessed and humbled that I'm here today just to share some of the knowledge around the therapeutic side of my work, around trauma, what that means for us, generational trauma, how that manifests in what's going on in society today, how that manifests in men's mental well-being, all aspects of that, financial, relationships, moving on, loss, all of these different things that impact us. So I am a person that's grounded in reality. I'm not an expert, but what I have got is lots of lived experience that I share quite openly and quite freely. And again, that is, our story sometimes will be a next man's survival guide. And that's why I do what I do. And that's why I share my journey. So that's myself, Scotty.
Wonderful.
Brilliant.
Scotty, that's amazing. And you know why? The most important thing I love about you is your relationship with your little daughter. When I watch you on social media, I follow you, you're always, loving on your daughter, showing her how to cook and bake, and you know what I mean? That, the father in you is very admirable and very, very loving. I can see the lovingness in you. So that's our resident coach and counsellor, a big advocate for therapy, and it's important that we have a counsellor on our panel, because you never know what way the conversation might go, and you might need a man to talk to outside of the show. So this is not just a show for the audience. This is also a group therapy as well as education and information. So thank you, Scotty, for taking the time to be here. Then we got the big man
So
himself.
I'm Anthony Spencer. I'm known by, like Scotty. Anthony Scotty is known as Scotty. I'm known as Spencer, worldwide kind of. I'm a published author and a recruitment professional. Like Scotty as well, I've turned my hands to many of things. I've been a promoter, I've been a broker, and currently I'm studying for my BSc in mental health nursing, which I had been trying to do for about 4, 5, 6 years. New Year's 2022, going on to 2023, I made it a commitment to get it done this year. And February I applied, took the exams in June, passed it, aced it, and I'm currently in the first year of doing that. So again, turning my hand midlife, but like your granny, Scotty, influenced you, my mum influenced me, because my mum was a teacher. She died 21 years ago on the 16th of this month. She was a teacher, and one of the main things that haunted her was she never done a master's degree when she was younger. So at 51, she went and done a master's at 51. Wow. Okay? She qualified at 50, she got a master's at 52, and unfortunately passed at 58. I'm now 56, 2 years away from when she passed. And going back to study after 35 years of last time I went to school in 87, is down to her. It's down to her bravery of getting up at that age and studying. I'd never known nobody that studied at 51 in their 50s. She was the only person I knew. And so I feel like I'm following in her footsteps. Marlo I've known, 40 years? Close to 40 years. Scotty, about 5, 6, 7 years or so. Marky Mark.
Your friendship.
Right, so we're all like old pros out here, and like Scotty says, we've got a lot to offer. I've had a platform during the COVID situation. I saw a lot of misguided narratives out there. I'm calling people that are posting stuff, friends I knew that were posting stuff that I knew was fake. Blatantly, I knew it was fake, but they posted it because they believed in it. And it prompted me to start up a YouTube channel, which went a long way to help a lot of people. I can tell you that right now. So it's sort of in my DNA to, if I've got knowledge, to share that knowledge with people. And when Marlo offered me the opportunity to be on this, I grabbed it. So here I am to the few good men. Oh, what we call it?
Well, the show is called Secrets to Success.
Yes,
yeah?
but the good few men. What was it? I forget the terminology.
Few good men.
Few good men.
Yeah.
So I'm proud to be a part of the few good men on this run, and looking forward to seeing what we can do.
Brilliant, brilliant. So that's Anthony Spencer, professional is recruitment, and you got a passion for social justice, politics, and you turn your hand to many things, multifaceted, promotion, entertainment,
Written
all
a
kinds of
book.
stuff.
But
Written a book.
my book
What was
actually.
the name of your book?
City Jungles.
Right. We'll get
A
back to
tale
that.
of the inner city.
We're gonna get back to
Like
that.
where we came from.
We're gonna get back to that book.
Right? And just so you know, my book beat David Cameron's autobiography, knocked it off the top 20. I took 20, he took 21. That was back in
forget to big up for that.
that was back in
And
2016.
you know the funny
so
thing, we're gonna get back to that book, but I'm gonna write a book this year too.
I would love you to write a book,
Yeah,
Marlo.
next
I would
year,
love you to
definitely.
write a
We're
book
gonna write a
because
book.
all of us, even Scotty, all of us got stories to tell.
for a right book.
And I think when it comes to writing our stories, the black male is so underrepresented in that category. And we've got more stories to tell them the most.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something that if you're gonna do that, I got your back all the way. I got your back.
Maybe you could show me how to do it still.
100%, I
that'd
got
be
your
good.
back all the way, my brother.
That would be good. All right, thank you, Anthony. Yeah, and so second to last but not least.
Before I introduce myself, what I would like to say, following on from what Spencer has said, in us as men writing books who have stories to tell, this is what our ancestors taught us, passing down stories.
100%.
Putting it in a book is just another way of passing down stories, so people that's coming after us can get a better understanding of what we have gone through in
We need
life,
to do that.
the paths that we have made for them to come through, and it needs to be done. The day we stop documenting our lives is the day we're in pitfall. We need to do that. That's what we was taught, the teachings, document our lives.
And
Very
I think that we
important.
broke that link. I actually
We have,
believe
yes.
we've broken that link.
Yeah.
The last 50 plus years. We need to connect that dot back.
Definitely.
Mark, introduce yourself.
All right.
brother.
Good evening to each and everybody. My name is Mark Rowe. Some know me as Marky Mark. My professional background, I've been working with young people in care from about 2005 now. So I've been dealing with all young people involved in social services, housing them, getting them into education, getting them off the road, and trying to give them a positive life and something positive to build and to look forward to. So I've always had a passion for working with young people. I never give up on young people. But saying that, sometimes I'm on the top deck of a bus, and when I hear some of these school children coming on and the conversations that they're coming out with, I'm like, am I ready to give up? Because they need some serious help. I don't know if I have the capacity for that. But that's me. My thing is young people. I want to see, I've got a passion. I want to see the growth, and I want to see everybody develop to being the best person that they can be. Along my journey, I've also studied to be a healthy cookery chef, which I passed in 2014. So I now teach classes, teaching people how to cook healthily on a budget, etc. I run a very successful young mums class where young mums come to my class, they bring their children, we have creche staff, they come into the kitchen, and we build recipes out of sometimes nothing. And they get the meals, they get the recipes, they get the shopping to take home, to go home and create that meals. And I've seen the positive change that it makes. I've seen them when we have a WhatsApp group and they'll cook meals in the week and they'll put it in the group. Oh, Uncle Mark, as they all know me as. And this is what I've made this week. And it just brings enlightenment and heart. It makes me feel so much better to know, okay, then, that class last week had an impact on somebody. And I think that is what all of us as men, mature men, are trying to reach out to do in having a positive impact, touching somebody's life. Now, whether if you touch it small, you touch it big, but touching somebody's life in a positive way is there's no better feeling. As far as I'm concerned, there's no better feeling than you can touch somebody in a positive light. So that's what I do. I've recently started studying, and I'm now tutoring key stage 1 maths and English to students out of school. So these are PRU students. So I'm doing 1-to-1, teaching them key stage 1 maths and English.
Brilliant.
And
Brilliant.
I get such a good pleasure and enjoyment out of it. And it's something that I'm still learning and growing as I go along. So it's really good. And it's anything to do where I can touch a young person's life in a positive way. So I'm always about retraining, rebranding, and just not staying in the same old bubble. It's always, for too long, I think too much of us, we live life with blinkers in whatever setting in life we're on. If we're on the road, whatever, our life is blinkered that way. The day that we take off the blinkers and start having peripheral vision, we see things with a lot more clarity. We understand things a lot better. And I'm a great believer in that. I think as one of my mantras is every day's a school day. Young people, old people, my peers, I can learn from everybody. I don't say, I'm at a certain stage in life now and look at somebody else and look down at them and say, well, what can you tell me? Rubbish. The man that looks at somebody else without knowing them and dismisses them straight away is a foolish man. So my thing is every day is a school day. I learn from everybody, and what I learn, I'd like to pass on and put on to other people, and they in turn, it's a domino effect, can pass it on. And if we keep passing and sharing the knowledge, we as a people can only get better, bigger, and stronger. The other side of my life, where people know me as Marky Mark, is that I've been involved in the sound DJ business for as long as that. It's been from the 80s, yeah. I'm telling you, before Jurassic Park, and even watching the changes in that, and had a lot of fun in there. Not so much now because I've been doing it for too long, but a great amount of fun. And being in that environment has led me to meet people like Marlo. If I wasn't in that industry, I wouldn't have met him. And before he goes on to introduce and talk about himself, let me just say this. Us as big men who can sit down here and have a mature talk, for the time that I've known Marlo, I've seen the change and seen the growth and the maturity. From the time that I've met Scotty, I've always known him to be turning his hand. He inspires me. The man's making sorrel, the man's making Christmas cake. These are the things that he doesn't even, well, he does know, but he's doing such a wonderful thing there because he's one of our peers and he's doing what we expect our mothers and our grandmothers to be doing. We go to them for Easter and Christmas for with Bon, with Kit, with sorrel. When they're not there, what happens? So this is what it's all about, turning your hand, passing that knowledge, so these things stay intact within our community, within our culture. So I big up everybody that we've all got checkered lives past, we've all come from doing different things, but to get to where we are now and we can be expressive about what we do and be positive about what we do, I think is such a great thing.
Brilliant.
That's me.
Over to you, Barlow.
Wow. So before I introduce myself, I wanted to thank you, Marky Mark. That was, sometimes you don't know somebody until you really sit down with them and reason. I wanted to introduce Spencer Ferron in his absence. He's a boxing historian, a boxing pundit. He's also a philanthropist. He's also a community leader. He's a multi-award winner. There's so many accolades I could say about Spencer Ferron in his absence. but he will be here maybe later on, but definitely by next week he will be here. He had something that came up, but Spencer has a lot of value in terms of his wisdom, his faith, his family, his position as a father. Like myself, he recently lost his mother, and we just had a kindred spirit. You understand? We were able to relate in a lot of ways. You know what I'm saying? Speak to him daily. And so I got a lot of love and respect for Spencer. So, you know, I look forward to him joining the conversation, if not today, next week. We named this Wednesday Wellbeing Wednesday because 3 years ago, I got into therapy. Yeah? On the back of my brother, I lost my brother. So imagine this, I lost my brother, died in my arms. I lost a baby 6 months. I lost my mother that I was caring for 3 months. 3 years, sorry. You know, wiping her bum, taking her to the hospital, taking her to the eye clinic. I was living into the hospital every day. Every day I was going into some kind of hospital appointment. Then lost mommy 3 months ago. So the therapy came at a time where I needed it. But I have my therapy on a Wednesday morning, 10 o'clock to 10:50. Yeah? And it's a talk therapy that's enabled me to understand how I think, feel, and behave, and able me to understand other people. You understand? So instead of reacting to people's madness, I can start to overlook and understand their actions. You understand? And so when you know, my dad's got a saying, my father's got a saying. My father's a Jamaican, and he said, "When the student is ready, the teacher will appear." You understand? And so I appreciate people like Scotty that's a therapist, because I understand the power of sitting down and be able to reason a thing out rather than to fight a thing out. You understand? And so we come from Jamaica. All we know to do is fight. You understand? And to have conflict. That's what we're born doing that. You understand? So we know how to do that. But we know it takes a lot for us to sit down and listen and understand and operate in a way which is you can get a better result for sitting down and reasoning. You understand? So that being said, my name is Marlo Morris, and I am CEO and founder of the Legacy Group. Now, the Legacy Group has different features and different functions. It has a commercial arm and a community arm. We have a non-for-profit organization, which is a charity, a CIC, community interest company called Legacy Foundation. And we provide different intervention, preventions, and exit programs for young people that are in the criminal justice system, not in education and training, in the mental health system, maybe in the welfare system, and need support around rehabilitation, education, enterprise entrepreneurship, or employment. Yeah. So we provide that support. Yeah. Then we have the commercial arm to what we do, which is the Legacy BSM Property Limited, which deals with turning disused spaces into multi-purpose hubs, licensed premises. I've had in the last 10 years 5 clubs, ICANN Studio, which was a 3,000 capacity venue, a 6 o'clock license, 30,000 square foot, renovated that and turned it into a multi-purpose licensed premises. Then we had one in Chelmsford, Essex, called Legacy Lounge. Had that for 4 years until my brother died. I sold that up and went into a different direction. We had a venue in Enfield called ICANN Sports Lounge. That's now the VBO bar. We had that for 4 years as well. Then we built a restaurant out of shipping containers. That's before there was ever a box park in Croydon, Shoreditch or Brixton, yeah? I would say I was the first man to build a restaurant out of shipping containers, black man, in London. I don't know any other man that was doing that. So I had no reference point. I was just starting from scratch. So that's the commercial arm. We do, obviously, the promotions, Few Good Men, and we do a lot of events, from social events to mixing business with pleasure events, to education events, conferences, well-being, weekenders. We've done most stuff. You know what I mean? Hired the most iconic venues in London, Sheraton Park Plaza, Alexandra Palace, Royal Lancaster Hotel, Grand Connaught Rooms, Chelsea Harbour Hotel. So we're versed. I've been being an entrepreneur for the last 25 years. I haven't been on an interview. I haven't worked for anybody in 25 years. And so God has blessed me to turn my ideas turn my passion into profit, and I'm able to create opportunities for other people. I recently became a carer, as I said from the beginning, for my mum. So I had that experience for 3 years on providing palliative care for the elderly and providing culturally specific care for my mum. You understand? And so that gave me a whole different revelation of who I am as a man. Yeah, when you have to wipe the shit out your mum's bottom, then certain things don't matter no more. You understand?
Yeah.
You know, certain conversations don't matter, certain arguments don't matter, certain people don't matter. In fact, your circle gets smaller.
You're focused.
Yeah,
on
my circle gets smaller, and real life kicks in, and you know what I'm saying, you start focusing on what really, really matters. When the COVID happened, and everybody was social distancing, saying they can't come to mum, no carer want to come to my mum, no family member want to come to my mum. Yeah, I remember 3 o'clock in the morning reading Bible story to my mother, and she loved that. Helped her. She had a stroke, kidney, lung failure. She couldn't walk, talk, eat, do nothing for herself. The doctor said she would never do that again, and we nursed her back as a family to her eating for herself, walking. I took her to the Bob Marley show, and she's getting up and standing up.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so
Wicked. Brilliant.
when I say we the legacy has created care services, entertainment services, non-for-profit education services. We're now in the process of opening up 11+ tuition centre to get our young people into grammar school and private school. Yeah, that's the Genesis Preparatory Centre in Enfield. And so there's a lot of things we turn our hand to, as Scotty said. Yeah, in the lockdown, I was teaching my nephews how to cook, and that drew me to man like Smokey, Marky Mark,
Yes,
Scotty.
Smokey's
We
another
used to
one.
have cooking wars and Jeff from New Attraction. But obviously, I would win the whole cooking war thing. Yeah?
Who crowned you? Did you crown yourself? Why did they crown you though? Like, that's the question. Did you
know what I
crown
mean?
yourself?
The people. I was the people's champion. See it?
Self-appointed.
People's champion. You get me? So obviously we're gonna have to really sit on that score there.
We're gonna have to
you know,
settle
we're
that.
gonna have to sit on that
We're gonna
one
have
day.
to get
you
a
know?
restaurant, and we're just gonna have to throw down
Be
like
you
throw
be the
down
judge.
something.
Be you be the judge. Let them cook off. Let them cook off.
But cooking is a really good. I remember my mum used to really have this aspiration to have all of her family around the table on Sunday, eating dinner, and none of we never wanted to sit around the table. As soon as we get with food, we got put it on the waiter and we're gone in the room.
Yeah.
She always used to. Her desire. Now I got my house. I got a
least
table.
one.
Guess where I spend most of my time?
Round that
At the
table.
table.
the table.
You know what I'm saying? In my house. And the table, sit round the table. I had my daughters round, my granddaughter round, and you know what I mean, my niece and nephew, my brother's kids. And we're all around the table, sitting around the table, cracking joke and sharing story. How was your week? And you know what I'm saying, laughing and joking. These are part of my secrets to success. You understand? They might seem simple, but it's about building healthy relationships, even amongst the people that God's given you responsibility for. You understand? Because we can dance abroad, but if we're not dancing in the yard, it serves no purpose. You understand? There's an old saying that my parents used to have in the Caribbean, and it means that organize your own house before you go out there and try and sort out everybody else's house.
Charity
You
begins at
understand?
home.
I wanted to talk about identity to kick it off this week. And one story, I like stories. I like documentaries. I like to watch what real life events happen to a man to make a man who he is. Yeah? And one of the things that I didn't understand that happened to me when I was a young, you see, once upon a time I was a good boy. Yeah,
Right.
I was a good boy.
When?
Brother, I was a good boy when I was about 5, 6, 7.
Not when he's
I was a-
previous, not when you was 30
I was a good boy.
Not when you
But
was
what
30
happened
and
was,
40.
I'm telling you, bad things happen. Yeah, and when bad things happen, we don't realize how it affected us until
And shapes
later
you.
on in life. If we live to see later on in life. Yeah, but one of the bad things that happened when I was in Jamaica, I grew up in Jamaica. And I didn't know it was a bad thing that happened because it was just happening. I had an uncle, yeah? And this uncle had mental health problems. And every day he used to come with his machete and threaten to kill all the way. Yeah? Me, my brothers, my sister. my
For no reason.
He was a madman. He had mental health
he
problems.
was
So he had his
unwell.
cutlass and he used to bang it on the grill and threaten to. I remember I'm 5 years old now. Yeah? 6 years old. I'm seeing this madman with a machete, yeah, come to threaten me and my little sister and my little brother and my mother. My dad wasn't there at the time. He was in England working. And I grew up very scared of my uncle until one time my dad used to spend 6 months in England, 6 months back. And when he came one time, yeah, and my dad, I never see my dad get upset, right? But he was in the room and Leroy come with his usual banging on the door, demand money, I'll kill all the way and things like that, yeah? Imagine that. You wake up every morning, 5, 6 o'clock, bang, 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 bang. Murder on them, no, kill them. Bro, imagine that, yeah? So anyway,
Nuts.
my dad come out of nowhere. He didn't know my dad was there. That's his little brother, yeah?
Yeah.
And he said, Leroy, and bust the grill. And he get a machete and say, Leroy, if you're threatening my mother and father one more time, I'm going to chop you up and kill you. Yeah? When I saw my dad do that, I wasn't frightened no more. Because that was my way of dealing with bullying. So I never liked bullying growing up at all. I was the one to stamp out anything named bullying, intimidation, manipulation, and domination. I never like it. You see me, I say? But I did not realize I was taking on an identity that didn't really belong to me. That was forced on me based on fear
What you saw.
and intimidation from other people. You understand? It's not until I was in therapy, 3 years, I started to look at why am I so defensive of other people or protective of other people? Because
Your dad.
I had that issue. You see what I'm trying to say? When I was younger, you understand? So some of what I'm saying is, the long story what I'm saying is, identity, sometimes we don't know who we are because we're taking on something that wasn't for us. You understand? You understand what I'm saying, Scott? You can you got a sweeter way of putting it.
Our identities are formed by our early attachments, the relationships that we form with
And experiences, right?
so our experiences. So this identity that we see adopted by lots of people is not people's true self. And sometimes people adopt identities as a way of, it's a defense mechanism. How do I protect my vulnerabilities? How do I protect this wounded child? So at 5, 6, you was a child that was going through this thing where this man was bullying you and you saw your dad do something and you adopted this persona. I don't like bullies. I got to be like, serious. But was that really who you are? And as you've gone into your own kind of therapeutic work, as Marky said, you've identified a softer side to yourself, a more compassionate side, a more understanding side, a more learning side. Where actually, do I need to be Milo who was 20, 30 doing things, or do I need to be the man that I'm supposed to be now? This protector, this nurturer, this man that can bring people together. So in our community, I call it generational trauma. There's lots of trauma in our community.
100%.
There is lots of trauma. When we
100%.
think about a lot of men, your story is your story. But I think in all of us, we've got some traumatic things that have happened that shaped us. And you spoke quite eloquently about therapy. It's only when you do this deeper work. When I say this deeper work, I'm talking about isolation. I'm not talking about incarceration, because we can talk about burden and all that nonsense. But deeper work requires a level of self-awareness. It requires a level of being true to yourself, taking time out. We've got lots of escapisms, raving, galling it out, drinking it out, gambling it out, smoking it out, all of those things. But when you do that deeper work, and you have isolation. And when you do that work, it's painful because you're going to have to ask yourself some uncomfortable truths.
It's that man.
Can I
in,
ask
it's
you real
that
quick?
man
When
in
you
the
say
mirror syndrome.
isolation, say again.
It's that man in the mirror syndrome.
It's that man in the mirror. Your question about isolation.
Yeah, when you say isolate, are you talking about taking yourself away from your surroundings or the people you know?
You got to. You know, I'm not biblical. My learned Fred can say this. But when he went into the hills and that for 40 days and 40 nights, who was he with?
By himself.
By himself.
But the devil did meet him there.
Yeah. And he had to confront him, innit? And when I say isolate, I'm talking about taking time out to understand yourself. Whether it's a well-being Wednesday, where actually every Wednesday morning I go and do an hour of therapy, or every other day I go to the gym and I get my gym time, or once a month I do a meditation Sunday where I eat clean or I don't eat and I just read. When I say isolate, who was it speaking about social media earlier on about things that we... Like sometimes you got to isolate from all of that. So in my house, I don't have a TV.
I called you.
Yeah.
When he told me he had no TV at his house, I was
Right.
taken aback.
No, I
and
have
that
a
was
radio.
earlier this year, innit?
Yeah. So I use my social, but sometimes the TV, it takes away from that being reflective. There's a saying in different circles. Go to a man's house and you can kind of see what type of man he is by his library. And when I go to a man's house and he's got a 50-inch TV and he don't have a book in his house,
Yeah, it tells you
then
a
I
lot.
start like thinking, okay, you've been to my yard. I'm not saying I'm well read, but I like to read and I like knowledge. Academia is that ability to go to university and retain information. Being well understood and well grounded means actually I've experienced different people in life and I'm open to learning. And every conversation that we have, there's learning to be had. We can garner something from that conversation. So for me, I would call myself a person that is grounded in realness, where I've embraced so much uniqueness in different people. It's just made me more learned, where I understand the world and people a bit more. And being therapeutically trained now, part of my problem now, and I've had to do some self-reflection on this, is I have a tendency to analyze people. Really, I get people.
You take your work home.
Yeah, I take my work home and like I'm talking to people, and I analyze people, and I understand human behavior. One of the things I try and get people to kind of reflect on, you know, if we think about an iceberg, the one that sank the Titanic, the bit that was on the water
Was the smaller bit.
was the
innit?
smaller bit. The bit that was under the water was the bigger part. Behavior that we see in people in our community is the tip of the iceberg. If we want to really understand, we have to be like deep sea divers and dive below the waterline. What was the feelings behind that behavior? What was they trying to achieve? Was that a need that wasn't met? Was that something that they wanted to express? And often we respond to behavior. But if we pause, because we isolate, we know ourselves, we don't take nothing personal. It's never personal. It's projection. That's their stuff. But if we allow their stuff to become our stuff, we then become drawn into their word instead of actually, this is our boundary, this is where I stand. I need to be curious to try and make some sense of what it is.
That's a great cut. You're in there. That's a great point there. I tell people all the time, take 5 minutes.
100%.
That 5 minutes can change your whole being. So you don't instantly react to everything. You can take 5 minutes to kick back, weigh it out, work it out, and then you'll actually work out the response you're going to do. You don't take that 5 minutes. It's an instant, it's a knee-jerk reaction. And 9 times out of 10, it's always going to be the wrong knee-jerk reaction. But you can take back that 5 minutes to just self-reflect, assess the situation. Then you come with a more rounded answer
Point
to
of
how
view.
you're going to deal with this problem.
And you know, like when you were speaking about Jamaica, it's weird. We've all got our cultural differences, whether it's from the west coast of Africa. So I know my friend over there Gambia, him spot him love it.
Love it.
Love it.
More
like
than
cooking.
Jamaica now. That's
No, I
it
say
now.
that
You
to
just
people.
come back, didn't you?
I'm just going.
Oh,
You going?
I'm
When?
going 2 weeks.
Okay. For me, when I first went Gambia, it was different. So I've been going Jamaica
How long ago was that?
7, 8 years ago.
Okay.
When I lost my grandparents in Jamaica, I kind of lost that connection to St. Thomas. It wasn't there for me no more. And I met someone, and really influential person in my life. I had a lot of respect for them. And I went to Gambia, and I remember the first time I went, and I got out of the airport, Mark, and I'm seeing cows running up and down in the airport. And I'm thinking, hold on, this is different. And then I got on the red soil. But it was a different spirituality. It's like I just knew, brother, them lies they was telling us as man that we're from the Caribbean and we're different, bruv. It's a lie.
Rubbish. It's
Rubbish.
divide and conquer. All
Divide.
the way.
When I touched the red soil, it was just a different vibe. And then that's when I knew Jamaica is where my heritage is, but my spirituality is in Africa.
That should be for all of us.
All black people.
If
isn't it?
for those that know themselves, because there's too many of us that don't know ourselves, are afraid to embrace our roots, where we're coming from. But then that comes from our upbringing in certain respects. Some of our parents, as much as we love them, they could be very embarrassing in terms of, like, my mum would be cussing Africans if we're out and we gone market and, oh, me now buy from me, Mark, teeth in African. And I'd be like, Mum, because I know a little bit better, we're all the same.
Yeah.
No, they come from Jamaica. Them come over this and rate here, and they've bought into that
divide and conquer thing,
westernized
the divide and
influence
conquer thing.
media.
And,
Yes.
and that's from the colonization.
Yes, that's right.
That's really where it's
It's
from.
that crab in a bucket, all of it.
Right, so this
That
question I
comes
got
to
for you.
identity now.
this
Do you know what?
is-
That's where
I wanted
identity
to
come in.
say something off the back of what Milo said about your dad, yeah? About when your dad come over. And now, my dad, super intelligent, brilliant guy, respected, churchman, yeah? Every Sunday he's at church, first one. He's like an elder in the church, yeah? However, on a Monday morning, in traffic, going to work,
The
don't
different
cross
side.
him off. I grew up between 7 maybe and 12, 14 kind of age. I see him beat up so much man on the street that I'm thinking, hold on, this is the guy that tells me not to do this sort of stuff and things like that, yeah? And until you spoke, and I'm being serious now, yeah? Until you spoke and said, you finally recognize where that protection, that I don't want to say violence, because it's not that in what you said. It's sort of protecting, but knowing what to do in that sort of situation, yeah? Until you said that, 10 minutes ago? It hit me where mine came from. Same way. I've never known that until just now. So just sitting there, the four of us,
Already, yeah.
already has just connected some kind of dot in my head for me, yeah? Because my dad was not a nice guy if he decides not to be. But you go to his office and talk to people about him. He's the best guy. You go to church.
nicest.
You go to church and talk about him. He's the nicest guy.
Different
Everyone-
personas for
Different.
different situations.
So then it leaves me now thinking, which part of him did I pick up? Now I can answer that question right now, because I find it hard to be a nice guy, or have found it hard to be a nice guy.
You have to work
And you know
on
when
that.
you know when it hit me when my mum passed away, and I didn't cry.
Wow.
I didn't cry for a day. It went 2 days, 3 days. I'm trying to force the tears. Nothing worked. Until 8 days after she passed on a Saturday, on a Sunday, I don't want to say it's online, but I was in camp, yeah, when she left, yeah. You know what I mean, yeah?
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
cool.
we all done. We've all done.
We all done
We've
camp.
all done behind
We
the
all
door.
done
The
camp.
behind the door is not a new thing.
I was
We've
in
all done
camp,
behind the
yeah.
door.
And the boss of the camp, yeah, the gov, yeah, had a little bit of empathy for me, I guess. So he organised something with the church, C of E. So on the 8th day, on the Sunday, the vicar, yeah, spoke a little bit because he asked me from the day before to write something about my mum. But I thought I was going to read it out or something like that. He read it out. See, when he read it out, that's when I cried. 8 days after my mum passed. But for 8 days, I kind of hated myself, fam.
Because you
I'll be
couldn't
real.
show that, you share that
I
emotion.
couldn't understand why I couldn't cry. Could not understand it. Until they started talking about her. So, you see this little conversation we're having right now already has connected certain dots for me. And I just thought I'd say that.
Let me jump in
Yeah.
and add to that, right? Remember now, this show is called Secrets to Success, right? One of the secrets I've come to understand and accept is I have to pray. I have to ask my understanding of a higher power to give me wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, which is supersedes my understanding. And I did not understand my dad's action at the time was shaping who I was going to become. You understand? And a lot of the actions or our interactions with each other shaped how I responded to the world and to people. You see what I'm trying to say? So it started with the man. It was a man that was terrorizing us, and it was a man that
saved
brought a
us.
solution to that terror.
Yep.
You know what I'm trying to say to you? So on one arm, I'm seeing how to terrorize, and another arm, I'm seeing how to
It's
solve
the devil and the angel on
terrorism.
your
You
shoulders.
understand? Then, going back, I'm going to say I like stories, innit? So we've moved now from Patrick City now to a place that was more a nicer area. We was first in a place called Yaka Avenue. So just by the name
alone,
alone, we know
yeah.
the place not nice. Yaka Avenue.
Yaka.
Yeah.
Some kaya up here.
Garrison.
Kingston 11, Olympic Way, right? Now we was living in Jamaica in a time in the 80s where political warfare was
Yeah,
was at its height.
PNP and Labour
man.
and all that madness.
You know, curfew and gun firing and MC. We used to wake up to M16s firing on our road. You understand? My aunt, Auntie Jean, God bless her, she used to have some army friend them, and she used to get them to guard our yard. Anyway, my grandfather used to run the partner, the area partner, and he was a
I'm going to
pastor.
pause you. Because
Yeah.
you see, like how we're doing this,
Yeah.
we might be using terminology that some
That some people might not
partner,
understand. Yeah.
We understand partner.
Yeah, but we're gonna get
And
there.
an only
We're gonna
people
get
don't
there.
even
And I
and
was
that's the
talking about
financial
so let
side.
me rewind.
just
let me
call it
rewind.
co-op for now.
Partner.
Yeah,
partner
co-op,
is
like a co-op. Like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah, so you can explain the partner, but I'm getting it to a point. I'm telling you the things that secrets
led
to
and shaped
success. I'm telling you the things that I've discovered as secrets to success. So we've moved to Yaka Avenue. No, first we was in Yaka Avenue. But what was happening, true to the political warfare and the gun and the violence and all them thing there, we had to move out. But what happened before we moved out is that the gunman them arm robbed our yard. Yeah, so they had my granddad bust him up with the gun butt him up on the floor. They had my aunt on the floor, my mother on the floor, me and my brother and my sister them on the floor, and they took the whole partner money. Yeah, mash up my grandfather. Yeah,
He's
now
gonna pay that back.
that taught me that I'm never gonna allow anybody to rob me. I'm never gonna allow anybody to gun butt my family and disrespect my family. Never again. Remember, I'm 11, 10, 11. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
to
but
you?
you've seen that trauma from
So,
10,
you
11.
know what I'm saying?
That's already shaped
My-
you.
I'm saying to my mum, by 11, I need to teach me how to drive. And she's teaching me in the Mark 5 Cortina. Remember them Cortina?
Yeah,
there?
of course.
And I'm learning to drive on Yaka Avenue. I can't even see over the windscreen. Yeah? By the time I came back to England when I was 12, 13, Who do you think I am?
You
You're
was
a
ready.
professional
You
driver.
was ready.
Who do you think I am? Yeah, I'm trying to say to you.
You was ready.
By the time I came, because we knew I passed my common entrance. So I was going to one of the best schools in Jamaica called Calabar High School. That was, it's debatable. People might say KC and JC,
But it's up there, though.
Yeah, Calabar was the
the
best
top.
school. When it comes to the, it's a boys' school, and I recommend all of the if you can send your boy to a boys' school, it's the best place for a boy to become a man. You understand what I'm trying to say to you? In Scouts, when we had the Scouts, we had the Cubs, we had the boys' school, that gave us a different edge to the other boys that was going to mixed school. You understand? When you're around, and so we went to Calabar High School, and we had to pass 11 plus to go there, and so I knew my periodic table. I knew, Pythagorean theory. I knew all them things. I knew things that the sixth formers in England didn't know in the first year when I was here.
Sorry to cut you. When you're talking about Pythagoras' theory and all of them things there, you was being educated at a certain level.
different
You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
different
different
level.
level.
We
because-
knew all of that. My sister was going, she was in class with Bob Marley, his daughter, at the time. So
Okay.
we was, going to good school, yeah? But our environment, the environment that I was, even though I had the education, my environment gave me a different education. And it gave me a different identity. And the men, I'm seeing my grandfather get robbed. I'm seeing one of my uncle them mad. I'm seeing my dad, dealing with, he's providing as a man, but making sure that he's protecting his family by any means what?
Necessary.
You understand what I'm trying to say to you? So that shaped me. You see what I'm trying to say to you? Protect your family by any means necessary. Don't allow nobody to rob you and take no liberty out of you. You see what I'm trying to say to you? And
Yep.
but then what happens is when you have that as a makeup, as your identity, you become no nonsense at what?
Yeah, you build on that.
And you know something, just to follow on from that, I recognize that in myself before this conversation. I recognize I'm a nicer person today. I reckon if my mum died last year rather than 21 years ago, I reckon I'd have cried tears. 100%. I'm a changed person. I watch stuff on TV, people get murdered and stuff like that. And I feel it in my gut these days. Whereas back in the day, it was like, okay.
You didn't have no empathy.
Right? But I'll tell you what I'm doing right now. I recognize, as a recruitment professional, I've worked with doctors and nurses my whole career. Hence, I'm doing nursing right now. I recognize nurses are a different breed of people that I am not. It takes 3 years to train as a nurse. I said to myself, Anthony, if you wait till you got your degree to start working on this here,
Too late.
it'll be too late. I'll be playing catch up. However, if you start working on this while they're teaching you this, when they hand you your degree 3 years from
Hand in
now,
hand. You're ready for it.
you're ready for it. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. Because as a recruitment professional, I've seen nurses attacked. I've seen nurses on a night shift and I get a call 3 o'clock in the morning. Anthony, I'm locked in a cupboard. This guy. I've got a nurse who a couple of years ago, 63, 64-year-old nurse who was running down the corridor from a patient, and she tried squeezing this little room that they had where she could have a timeout, like just shut the door and wait for security to get the guy. As she got to the door, the guy gets the door with her, slams the door on her finger and broke 2 or 3 of her fingers. 62-year-old. So I know this happens in nursing, but I know the person I am. Excuse me. I know the person I am. That guy ain't chasing me down the corridor unless I've worked on this. Because the minute he starts his nonsense, what are we going to do? We're going to stop him any which way necessary, like you said.
That's
Right?
that's the masculine
Yeah,
male
but I'm-
bravado that comes out.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is if someone attacks you, our natural instinct
As men.
is as men, as how we grew up, is not
react.
to run away. We're not going
That's
to run
right.
away.
No.
We're going to deal with it.
Yeah.
If somebody punches me in my face, I'm going to deal with it a certain way. So what I'm teaching myself now
There is another way.
is the first year of my training to be a nurse, starting from day one, and I know it's going to take 3 years to train that brain, is on my first shift as a qualified nurse, guy decides to hit me, or even a woman decides to slap me in my face. I've worked on my brain on that for the last 3 years. When that happens, I know what to do. I'm calling the authorities. I'm going through the channels, write a report, deal with it the way that a normal, regular person would deal with it. I recognize I'm not a normal, regular person because of the experiences that we've had, like you said. None of us are normal growing up. We are now trying
To be normal.
to be normal.
You
Do you understand?
For me,
That's good.
that
I like
hearing that
That's very good.
makes me think about what is normal and what is not normal.
That's
And
a good question.
What is learnt behaviour and what is really you?
All right, so let me ask you this.
Go on.
Now you said what's normal and what's not normal, and this goes to everybody. My question, and I wanted to start with this for the show. What is a man?
That's
That's
a
everybody's,
never-ending question.
interpretation, perception.
That's a never-ending question.
How the man in your life, hopefully your father, shaped you.
Yeah.
But
You see, and like, this is the
Suppose he
importance.
ain't got no father.
that's
We
why I
have
said
a relationship with your
many
father.
don't.
Do you
because
have-
if not, you're shaped by what is around you, your
Yeah.
surroundings, the streets, elders on the road. All of these
Yeah.
influence and shape your life. And if you don't have those right role models from the beginning, that will determine what road you're going to take in life.
and where you and
where you end
how
up.
you identify
Yeah.
or how
What
you
a man
build
is.
an identity of who you are.
As a man.
So our identities are built by the exposure and experiences that we have. So for me, growing up in the London borough, my area was notorious, like Northwest London, Stonebridge. Like it was a place, like it was a serious place, and like coming up. And I got to send I'm sorry, I've got to do this. We had a phenomenal community leader. His name was Leonard Johnson.
Passed away
He
recently.
passed away recently. This geezer, Leonard Johnson. So over your side, North London, I think, what's his name? Not,
Clasford.
Dougie?
you got one that's really kind. He's been out there in the trenches forever.
Clasford.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got them in South as well. But Leonard, we had a place, it was called the Annex, HPCC, Housing People's Community Centre. And Leonard was a man like this. Him, Fearon, Brownie, these guys, that's young men, they were leaders of men. Right? Them man, they could come on the line. The line is like the front line where people used to hang. And they could say, here, what now? Like, need 100 man, we're going Brent Town, or we want to try and get something done. And like, that's youths and that, even though we're doing bits, we had faith in them, man, because they, as I said, they excluded qualities. And it weren't a bully boy tactic. Them man, there was not bullies. Them man, they had a different level and a different aura. When you see them man, that you almost looking like, that's man.
I
innit?
want to be like that.
That's man. That's not like, because we're out there, we're thinking we're men. And sorry for the motions of the hands, but like, we used to do some naughty stuff. And we're thinking we're about the different quality of men. He passed away the other day. And I just wanted to acknowledge how fundamental that man was in so much man's life. So much man had a revered understanding and look up to him because he was a man. So when you asked that question, it made me think about there's been men in my life that have shaped how I've seen the world. Some of them have been violent men. Some of them have been humble men. Some of them have been courteous men. Some of them have been worldly, knowledgeable men. And our identities are shaped by our early attachments to what we identify.
To what we see as a
What we
man.
see. And if you don't do that deeper work, you can have this identity until you kick the bucket. But when you do this deeper work, you become more of a... What type of man? So I'm speaking about Leonard. The type of man I want to be is, when I kick the bucket, in my community, I want man to say, that geezer was solid.
Well,
I
that
don't want him
is
to
how-
say gunman Scotty or terrorist Scotty or Gallus. No, I want them to say that geezer, he was a man
Well,
because
that's a testament to how you live your life. When you see people's funerals and you see the good ones, the big send-offs where everybody's
true.
coming, it's a testament to how that brother. I've been to funerals where people have died and man's they don't really business. Boy, glad him gone, you know, God. Him just take up oxygen, he was a bully, he was this, he had nothing good about him. You understand? So funerals is the biggest
Testament
yeah,
to how you
testament
live
that
your
you
life.
can
What type
have.
of man you want
It's
to be
gauge, it can gauge you. But I don't want to wait until I'm dead, whether we know in afterlife and looking down and seeing what's happening
Which
to know.
none of us know
yeah,
yet. So
I don't want
you
that.
could well be up there looking down right now.
This is
we,
what I'm
we
saying.
Don't know
So
that.
I'd rather be just living it now. You know, like we say now, give people their flowers while they're alive instead of waiting until they're dead and drop it on their box. And it's the same sort of thing. Here's a question. We're talking about how we're shaped. We're all fathers. How many of us pushed our babies in pram?
I did.
I do.
I did my second, who's now 33, and my third, my last, who's now 13. I did.
Well, I'm going
I
against the
changed
grain
nappies
because I
as
see
well.
all three of you put up your hand. I never pushed a pram. I pushed my grandchildren in a pram. Yeah. I never pushed none of my children. There was
that's
car
probably
seat.
you
They went in
making
the
up.
car.
That's you recognizing that you didn't do it with your children.
I didn't do it because
and now you're doing it with your grandchildren.
right. But the reason why I didn't do it is my thought process at that time. I'm a man. A big man, real man, ain't pushing no pram down the road. I'm not riding down the right lane with my pram. I was walking with them in my hand from the car to my hand to the car seat, and that was it. I'm not pushing no pram. And that was just me.
See,
Because
I
I didn't
was
see anybody around me, my peers, pushing pram.
Modeling that behaviour.
There was
Yeah,
two things
maybe if
my
I saw
dad-
that. Go on.
Sorry. to
No,
cut you
no,
off.
go on. I'm just going to say, maybe
there
if
was
I
two,
saw
just
that.
following up from that, I'm backing you all the way. There was two things that my dad did or didn't do that when I had my first child, my daughter, who's 34 now, I said to myself mentally that I wasn't going to do. One, he never changed nappies, never pushed buggy, never did all them things that he left all of that to mummy to do. Second thing he did was he was physical with us. So those two things, one, he didn't do. I said, I'm going to do. The other, he did too much and he did freely, like he was nothing. And I made sure I wasn't going to do that.
I'm
So
on
none
that
of
same
my
page.
kids have grown up that can say I've put my hands on them. And I'm saying it live on it. But it was a mental decision I made before any of them was born.
Yeah, and
Do
this
you
is
understand?
why
Before any of them was born.
we talk about fatherhood and masculinity and the importance of men understanding men and understanding how those early relationships form how you see
Yes.
the world. And as men, we got to understand that our early relationships have a lot to do with how we view ourselves and our well-being. So attachment.
That goes, yeah, to the attachments, to what, even just have what we've been told, what we've been taught. A little snapshot. My uncle, bless him, is flying in from Jamaica tomorrow morning. I can't wait to see him.
White rum?
I remember. Come on.
What, next
Of course,
next
it's a
Wednesday?
Red
Next
label.
Wednesday, yeah?
Tomorrow morning, him
But
flying in.
bring some white rum next Wednesday,
Next
yeah?
Wednesday? Oh, well, yeah, we can talk. I don't really like for share like that, but, you know. But I remember when I used to walk on the road with him as a little youth, this man always put me on the inside. He said, I'll never put you on the outside. I want to be on the outside. I want... No, because if some madman comes along, I've lived some life. You ain't lived none. And just little snippets like that stuck with me. So whether I'm walking with the missus, whether I'm walking with my children, anybody, I put them on the inside and I walk on the outside.
But you see, that's so deep, you know, because
That's so funny.
I've had conversations with both men and women where they talk about a protective nature that a man might have. We're protecting our family.
Yes.
And we're doing unconscious things.
Yes. Right.
Like when we're walking down the road, as you said, you put your family on the inside.
yeah.
When we're going into spaces, we kind of go in front and
front,
we kind
right.
of make
We
our
walk in
presence
front,
known.
yes.
Yeah.
So there's some positive things about those relationships. But on the other hand, it could have some negative impacts. You could be so protective that you become a bully. You now become...
Yeah, that
You
I think that's the
become-
extreme side of things.
Well, that goes to
let me
control.
just say something quickly. Literally, and I think she's probably listening to this right now or watching it. Yesterday, I was talking to a friend of mine, female friend of mine, and she was talking about a past relationship that she had. And she goes, yeah, he always made me walk on the outside. And I said to him, what? I should walk on the inside. She goes, I got a 15-year-old son who walks on the outside when I'm walking with him. I say to him, now I'm your mum, I'm going to sleep. And she has this debate with a 15-year-old, but she was seeing some dude who wants to walk on the inside and left her on the outside. Literally.
Yeah, and I suppose that man's got his
And I
own.
said to her,
But we
I said
laugh,
to her-
but it's
I
a
said to
serious
her-
thing.
I said,
Of course.
it's a serious, it was
Yes.
she brought it up so clearly it was something that she debated with this guy. So I said to her, why do you think he did that? She goes, I think he was just too feminine. She said, yesterday, she'll be watching this, so I'm not telling no lie, yeah? Just yesterday we had this conversation. So it's so funny you brought that up. And I say to her, babes, my whole life I've been that way. What
Yes.
you do. My whole life I
Inside.
said, whether it's my kids or my missus, you
Is
don't
that-
think of it. If me and you was walking down the road, Milo, that thought would not pass my head. Not
But
once.
is that
But
intuition
how do you-
or is that instinct? Is
It's
that
instinct
No,
because,
no,
like I said,
somebody
if you
told-
that was what was
if
taught
your
to me
Milo
and
was
it stayed
walking,
in me.
if your Milo was walking, you're not gonna that ain't gonna trigger that instinct in you. It won't because you're both mans. You both can look after yourselves. But switch Milo for your daughter, your son, your missus.
It's
boom,
a different concept now
boom,
comes into play.
It is automatic.
Yep.
But sometimes you need, it might not be instinct. Sometimes you need might need a man to show you that. Let me explain. I was doing hospitality one time. I'd spent a lot of time doing bodyguarding and chauffeuring in another life. And I was in church looking after one pastor. And I had to drop home some sisters then. Yeah? But he was in the car with me and we dropped off the sister and I went to go and drive off. He said, no, brother Marlo.
Wait
no,
till
no,
get
no.
to the truth.
Wait first before them going at the yard.
standard?
So, no, but it wasn't standard to me at the time. You hear what I'm trying to say to you? 'Cause remember I said, I just come out of the camp.
Yeah.
We never get them kind of training. There. You get what I'm trying to say to you? So from there, I've always, if I'm dropping on my lady, I always make sure that she get in the yard
Yeah.
before I drive off. You understand what I'm trying to say to you? Simple things like that is secrets to success.
Yes, that's
100%.
why every day is a school day.
Yeah,
Never be
it's
afraid
like
to
opening
take
the
on
door
new
for
knowledge.
a woman. Yeah, I'm trying to say to you. Not for the time them I see, I see man just go through the double door and the door just banging and banging the woman's face.
Or the ones that walk
They never
through
look back. They never look back.
My cousin got you.
Listen,
Yeah, but I can't do that. It's just instinct in me just to check the double doors up. You know what I mean?
But you see, serious thing, put joke aside. If you don't know yourself
You don't know.
and you don't know the
It's
parameters of
identity.
what a man is, you'll take them behavior. So imagine that's what you've seen. That's what, from a little pitney growing up, you've seen this. And don't forget, I always bring it back to, there's a lot of dysfunctionality in our communities. And there's a lot of behaviors that are now standardized where people are not checking themselves. And now abnormal has come normal and normal has become abnormal. So things like this now, would a woman now perceive that as he's a dominant man? Like you showing these protective factors, how could they interpret that? So don't forget, if they've been in a situation where they've experienced domestic violence or abuse, where a man had that controlling nature, you coming along now with your moral background, if I got to hold the door for you, I got to put you on the inside. They might perceive that, right, that man's he's a bit much, he's a bit,
Yeah,
and like that
controlling.
might trigger something in them, and we're all triggered, like you said you've been triggered, people out in the community, they get triggered, we all get triggered by things. You said something, Mark, 5 minutes, think. So now, what a lot of people do is, they don't respond to stimulus, to the triggers, they react. Reacting and responding, two different things.
Yeah.
Reacting, prehistoric part of the brain. You're triggered, flight or fight response. You
Caveman.
just react. Caveman thing, cavewoman thing. Responding, prefrontal cortex, front of the brain, your logic, your rationale, your emotions, all that good stuff at the front part of the brain. When you give yourself time, I'm able to respond. I'm able to use logic, intelligence,
right.
rationale, reasoning, my life experience to respond. I say to people now, as a man, if you ask me something and it's a difficult conversation,
I'll get back to you.
Give me 24 hours and I'll respond to you.
about it, that's
Let
right,
me
you
do
gotta chew
some
it over.
thinking about how this. So that's my identity now. I've identified that. And next thing about identity is, how does a man carry himself? How does a man carry himself? You know, like when you walk into venues, do you have that aura of masculinity, not bullying, frightened, but actually when you go into a place, people stop because there's a different aura about you. People like, man on man, innit? Like,
Well, just stopping you there. Not every man can do that. Like we're in here now. You got some man who could not just walk in here and own the room. There are some men that have to walk in behind another man,
Yeah.
walk in behind a female, come in and go around the back and slide and make their way in. It's not every man that's got that purpose, I call it purpose, that they can just walk into a room right in the middle and own it. Yes, big up yourself, everybody, talk to everybody. This is not every man can do that. You can see it in me. When you're out and about, whether you're raving, whatever kind of circumstances, you can see like a stand-up guy, you can see him no player.
Do you know what's-
From the one that you know playtime is their thing.
Do you know what's funny? See, in class, I knew anyway that I've got a presence. Yeah, you recognize that from a long time ago. But I didn't connect the dots with being in a classroom with 22-year-olds in the same class as me, 31-year-olds.
Right.
The oldest next to me is 44. I'm 56.
you mean you're teaching now?
No,
You mean you're
no,
studying now?
the students, my colleagues in the classroom, yeah? So now imagine what I thought to myself the first week. I had to put a break on my personality, guys.
You
I
took over the
literally,
whole thing.
because it was just, it was the easiest thing to just run the classroom.
Yeah.
I could have done it in my sleep. So from the first day, on the Monday, when we first started, the 18th of September, I walked in that classroom not knowing I was going to say that to myself. But at the end of that day, Scotty, I had to say to myself, Bridget, you got to learn to be a normal guy.
Yeah, you got to learn.
You got to learn not to dominate the class. You got to learn because I won't be trying to do it. That's the
will
thing
just
about
come
it. I
natural.
won't be trying to dominate the class. I wouldn't have walked in there saying I'm going to control the class. I'm going to own the class. I'm going to run the class. But my personality and the aura about me, I recognized. So that was another thing I started working on from the first day. They ask questions that I know that I can reel it off. Keep my mouth shut. I let other people answer.
This is why.
When they say do stuff in groups, for example, I want you in groups of 3. Write this up on a big sheet of paper. The first few times, I said, all right, I'll do that, you do that, and you do that. You see, after the first week, now, like today, I was in school today. Same thing. I write their name first on the top of the sheet, my name last. Things like that.
Yeah, and give it to them.
It's
you
being
take
done
it
on
in
purpose.
control.
I'm doing it on purpose because my normal instinct will be to be myself. So I find myself in class not being myself, but it ain't that I'm not being myself. I'm actually retraining myself. I'm seeing it as retraining myself
Be more than oneself.
to be for the future, for what I'm going into. I'm going to go and work in a hospital or in a home or some establishment somewhere where who I am originally will walk in there and some people will go, ooh, I don't know about him. Other people will go, ooh, I think he's a bit bossy or, you know, I don't want none of that. I want to walk in there like Joe Blogs. Like just any other nurse
sometimes
who walks in
you
the place.
can't- you
So
can't
that's a
stop
constant
that,
work
though.
up. I know, but you can't unless you counter it.
You're
And that's
countering
what
it.
I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
I'm physically, mentally, every day countering that.
But guess what? Some of your personality is you being a leader. And one
know.
thing we can't shy away from, if you have them leading instincts and you are leading somebody positive, be that leader.
I know you're so right. And that is what you would see in me. However, Joe Blogs might not see that because I'm 6'3", I'm a black guy. They might not see leader. They might see threat.
Yeah,
You see what I
They
mean?
bullying,
They might see
whatever,
threat. They might see
intimidator.
potential trouble. They might see potential bully. So we will see that as leader. We're all leaders here.
But then,
but you go counter it. You go physically work at it. I do it every day. It ain't no struggle. Don't get me wrong. I do it every day. Now, do you want to read that? You read that. You read that. When the teacher's looking at me, the teacher thinks I'm going to read it out. So they're all they can see the leadership qualities in me. So they're all encouraging me to
Of course.
Anthony, do you want to do?
because some of them don't
going,
want
no,
to
no, no.
do it, so they
Ant's-
want to hide
Ant's
behind
gonna
your
do it.
words and let you do it.
So it's something that we all have to work on constantly. And like I said, that also goes hand in hand with what I said earlier about training my brain to be what a nurse should be. Do you understand? So all of that hopefully works towards the end in an advantageous way. When I get my degree, I can go into my first job and I'm cool. I'm just any other old nurse. I'm not this guy
But what
from...
will happen
You know-
to
you know what's
though,
so
at
precious
some point
and-
it will come out.
You know what's so precious about what you're saying? At 56, you're going back to study amongst
22-year-olds.
I
you know?
remember my brother died, yeah? So I sold the club in Chelmsford, Essex, and I said, you know what? I'm going to go university. I just need to change, yeah? So I done the interview, passed the interview, the course. I had to go and get all the support, the finance.
The
and all
student
that kind
loan
of
and all that.
student
You
loan.
had to go through all that too.
Then I'm in the class with these 20-year-olds talking about, I had a threesome last weekend. And I said, no, man.
Bro,
Mickey,
I'm coming
I said,
for that.
it wasn't for me, bro.
They were on a different page.
Milo,
Like, it's just not, and they're talking to me as a big man.
My
I'm
first-
talking to them having cheesome and all them
Because
things.
you're in the same class as
They
them,
say, yo,
they don't
no,
recognise that
but
you
my
are
first-
an
I said
older
to
man.
myself, this university thing is not for me. So it's beautiful that you stayed. Because
let me tell you,
I
I'm going to
left,
let the
you
first
get me?
day.
Yeah.
But the first day, this 22-year-old black young lady, remember my daughter was 34. This is a 22-year-old. About half an hour into thing, do you smoke weed? For fuck's sakes.
So you're great to be redefining yourself.
I said to her, how old are you? She says, 22. I'm 22. I said, no, I don't, and you shouldn't.
Yeah.
You know when the
expect that
father,
result.
when the father genes kick in. I just dropped it down. I couldn't believe it.
That's why I'm saying it's
Believe
good.
that.
It's good that because what I'm hearing from this session, it's our first session. We talk about secrets to success. We as men, we need to get to a place where we might have to reassess ourselves, redefine ourselves,
Constantly.
and go back to base. And if we don't know what that base looks like, find someone
Seek help.
that we
That's
admire,
right.
we look towards, that we can kind of draw from. You understand? Now, when I listen to Scotty in his tone and his deportment and his demeanor and his persona, his aura, I could listen to him all night because he's got that calming voice. You understand? That tone where. It's what I'm trying to say. You should even
It's
do
got
some
therapist tone,
You
innit?
should do some hypnosis.
Hypnotize.
I do mindfulness.
Yeah,
So
do
I do
mindfulness.
readings where
Yeah.
people just listen to my voice and I just like read and they just fall asleep like little babies.
He's got that. He's got
He
that.
loves-
He's got that Morgan. You know that. He's got that Morgan Freeman voice about him.
It's really weird.
But before you say it, I've worked with this man in schools, we go into schools, right? And this man, he will go into a school with about 40 kids and all that, And I know, there's a team of us, so every man's got their role and responsibility.
Yeah.
But Scotty will go in the room and make the whole room about himself. And it seems like it's about himself, but it's not. It's just the fact that he commands attention and interaction through his gift.
What was I saying to you
When a
earlier
man's
on
got a
about
gift,
men, sorry to cut
sometimes you have to,
coming in and owning.
Yeah.
So Scotty is able to walk into a class full of 20, 30, 40 students and own that classroom.
Yeah.
Own them same time.
And you know,
It's important.
and what you guys are saying, and there's a thin line.
But you know
that
what I
say
did?
to
You know what I
people.
did? I never got intimidated. I never got jealous. I not get envious. I used that as an opportunity
that's
to
beautiful.
observe and learn from
That's
it.
right.
That is
Learn
beautiful.
from it.
Milo, that is beautiful because
Too
that
much
that
of
is
us.
one of our community's biggest issues.
Bad
because
mind.
other people, 9 out of 10, let me not say 9 out of 10, 7 out of 10 people we know would have
I would
stood
go
there
as far as
and
9.
grudge him.
Yes.
It's not it's,
Secretly,
Yeah.
and have resentment secretly.
Yes.
And it won't show on the day.
No.
It will show on a night out in a different environment. Maybe he's waiting on a lift from the or whatever it might be,
Yeah.
and that resentment will kick in.
It's really weird that you say that, yeah. Confidence is a thin line between arrogance and confidence.
Yeah.
And arrogance, for me, you can see when someone is arrogant, when they're full of themselves. And
What's the
confidence
difference?
is, what's the difference? Confidence for me is calm, it's quiet, it's humble calf suck the most milk. All of these things that our parents told, when my grandparents told me, empty barrel make the most noise. You know, like when I go out sometime when I was younger and used to see, man, I'm going to have it large and all that. And I just thought, they're just gifted a gab, mate. Because when you put it on them, they're not having a bar of it. So I've always kind of understood myself. And it was only in the last couple years that I truly became a bit more at peace with myself. So remember I talked about early attachments. So with men's mental well-being, a lot of us experience bullying. So Mark, you're dark skinned, I'm dark skinned. Growing up in the 60s, late 60s, 69, 70s, black man, we used to get the brunt of it. You're midnight, eat
come on,
chocolate
man.
with white gloves on, otherwise you bite your fingers.
11:55.
What, 11:59, all of that?
Yeah, like that. So growing up, there was lots of issues, and I've had to do some reflections on how did that shape my journey into criminality? How did that shape my violence? How did that shape how I saw the world? And it's only in the last couple years I've become at peace with who I am. I used to be quite intimidated by my presence, so I used to small myself up. I used to go out. I'd go over South London. I was talking to someone the other day. Club Acapulco, the one that's by Catford.
Yes, Ali's place.
Yeah, and I remember going there as a younger man now, driving from Northwest over to South London in this place in Catford. And I'm thinking, but I always used to make myself small. A, because I knew my capabilities up here of what I could do. But I always kind of was a bit, I weren't sure. But now I feel confident and I feel secure in myself to take my persona and who I am into public places. And I don't feel like I have to small myself up. And I say to every man that I'm around, I want to be inspired by men. Like Leonard Johnson, like those were the guys that I looked up to. Like when that man entered a room, people just stopped. Man, stop. Because his aura and his presence. And I understand what you say. Sometimes what you're saying, self-awareness. So I'm self-aware that I can have a persona that can make people feel, he's a bit up himself. But it's not. I've actually feel I'm good. I'm good on my ones.
Yeah, but you're always going to get people, no matter how much you dilute yourself or you don't, you give them the full potion. There's always going to be someone that's going to say something abstract.
100%.
Always. You can't please everybody. So, and I think that's where a lot of men, they fall down on that because they're out there trying to please everybody. They want to be accepted by everybody. It's never going to happen. And those people that walk around seeking validation from all of their peers, they live in sad lives.
Yeah.
And the
They're
minute
not-
someone
they're not
says
themselves.
something,
They're not
it
being
breaks
themselves.
them
Yeah.
because they're not solid enough to know. So, well, if you don't like me, fine. I'm
I
still
wasted,
going to go
I
about
wasted
doing
a
my
lot
thing.
of time doing that because I did not know myself. I was going around the world chasing myself.
Yes.
You know. My father used to ever say, "Don't fly past your nest."
Right.
Yeah. I was flying past my nest
Every
for
night.
years.
Every night. Circling.
No, literally, like jumping on a plane, going to St. Lucia, going to Nigeria, going to Croatia, going to Miami, yeah, Miami South Beach. You know how much time I fly past my nest is Miami?
Yeah.
Orlando. My point is, I wasted a lot of time because I didn't know myself. And we need to redefine ourselves as man. And then when you redefine yourself as a man through God's direction, I believe, I'm an advocate for God, good spirituality and therapy, then you start to redesign your life. what your life. And you know, Sunday was one of the best days of my life. Sunday gone. I had my daughters down, my granddaughter, my niece, my nephew, and we done a vision board. All of us, we had the cutouts, we all done our own vision board. That was the first time that's ever happened. After dinner, we done a vision board.
That's brilliant.
And we got each other to stand up and talk about our vision, what we want, where we want to live, you know, the relationships we want, the money we want. And when I sit there, I'm listening to my little granddaughter who's 5 years old talking about her vision, and she had all love hearts on her vision board. Love hearts, love heart. How beautiful is that? That her vision is love.
That's
You understand?
right.
Right? And so I'm learning to redesign my life. You understand? So Monday, I name Monday Make Money Monday.
Aye.
Right? Touch Me Tuesday. Yeah, where I go and get my massaging and I go and get my, you know, my well-being stuff.
Yes.
Wednesday, well-being Wednesday, therapy. Yeah? Tech Time Thursday. Everything about my week is about relaxation
That's
and
right.
well-being. Yeah, Feel Good Friday, stylish Saturday. If me feel like get up and go out and put on a good clothes.
Come check me on Saturdays, yeah?
Yeah, stylish Saturday. And then Sunday now, sit down Sunday. That's my Sabbath Sunday. You know what I'm saying? Why do I redefine my life? Because I'm the king of my domain.
Yeah.
And I have to make sure that I'm in control of my world
Right.
in order for the people in my world to be provided for, protected, and have a plan. And that's my role as a man.
Let me ask you guys something. Does anyone remember watching Ian Rice documentary about 3 years ago about his mum, how his mum was cruel to him and stuff, and he got to talk about it? No?
No, I saw the one with him in Rollcastle. It must have been part of the same one.
This was like he suffered trauma. So basically,
Okay.
his mum was married to his stepdad, and his stepdad was really like mean to him and stuff, and mean to his mum. And then what started to happen was his mum was taking out the abuse she was getting from his stepdad, taking it out on him. And the documentary was kind of like he was forgiving his mum, like understanding and forgiving her. But he struggled with it for years because he couldn't understand why. You know, why are you taking it out on me? It's not me kind of thing, yeah? And obviously we're coming to the end, so we can talk about this on the next one. But when I watched that, yeah, I'm gonna tell you guys something that I've never ever said publicly. Probably only told about 3 of my ex-partners, serious partners, not no joke partners. But there's been a couple of attempts on my life, as some of you know, yeah? The first attempt on my life was my dad.
Right.
And watching Ian Rice documentary was another trigger point that made me look at that, why I was never afraid to die. The man had me banged by the wall. He was beating my mum. And as a 13-year-old, I jumped in it to protect my mum. It wasn't the first time it was happening. But this time I was mad because she was pregnant. My youngest brother, who's now, he was born 81. It's that about 40 plus now. And he was beating her. And I'm in my bedroom, I can hear her crying in it. So I come out, and I just marched straight up. He was tall. I'm 6'3", he must have been 6'4". I'm taller than him now, but obviously because he's older now, because he's 86 now. So I probably came up to his chest. So I'm thumping where my face, so I'm not thumping his face, because his face was up there for me, yeah? So I'm thumping his chest. But 3, 4 punches, and just waited for a comeback. He never came back. He stormed off to his bedroom and a sawn-off shotgun, yeah? He went and back out. My mum knew, but I didn't know he was going to draw for the gun. My mum knew, so my mum just stood in front of me. Saying, Andy, what you doing? Andrew, what you doing? What you doing? He raised the flipping thing, yeah? And he lay it off. No word of a lie. He lay it off, but because it was pellets, shotgun pellets, yeah? The thing scraped, went so close to my head, it scalped me. The first part. And you see where it scalped me? You see how I'm grey head? That's where my grey started from. The path of those bullets. when I was 13 years old. So when I was like 22, 23, I had a streak of grey hair right there. That's now obviously covered my whole hair. And you know something? It was the first time I actually brought it up to him was after that documentary, Ian Wright's documentary. And we argued. It turned into an argument where I'm saying to him, because he was blaming us, there's couple of us ain't speaking to each other in the family, and he's trying to be peacemaker. I said, Dad, it's probably your ways why we don't talk to each other today. It's probably how you ran your family why we're where we are today. He ain't having that. So it turned into an argument. But the reason I'm bringing this, because there's more to talk about on it, but we're coming kind of to the end of it. But it is kind of that same thing we're talking about your experiences, because when I looked back at that, it meant I've been the sort of person when you draw a gun on me, I'm kicking out your hand, which I've done. Man's pulled a gun on me where other people would run.
Because it's not your first experience of it.
I've kicked the gun out of man's hand. Yeah? I wasn't scared to die. These things, there's a lot of trauma, guys, in our community. A lot of trauma between men, women, and those children become men and women. Those children have faced that. I've faced that as a 13-year-old. Imagine what I've done as a 26-year-old, 13 years later.
Based off of that.
Based off of that.
Yeah. And I think that we started with that word trauma, and it's kind of run through our conversations today and about men's mental well-being, the secrets to success. And I think part of the secrets to success is an acknowledgement that we're all messed up. That as a man, I might be a little bit dysfunctional, a little bit hurt, a little bit misguided. And part of that is I need to do that deeper work. You found your peace in prayer and the bigger man. We find our peace somewhere. You mentioned something, Mark, about purpose. And we're not here to just breathe fresh air and die. We're not on this planet.
We got more of a purpose.
Yeah.
All of us have a gift that we've got. We've got something. All of us have a gift. Unfortunately, some of us don't do that deeper work to find our gift. But when you do find your gift, that's the meaning of life.
Well,
The purpose of life is how does your gift enrich
impact
others?
on somebody else. But then look at our man right here, Marlo. What's the name of his organisation?
Legacy.
And that is all about
That says it all.
leaving. Yeah, that says it all. Legacy. Just that word there, it's about not today, what I'm doing today, but the impact it's going to have tomorrow, next week, next year.
When I'm gone.
When I'm gone long, that's that whole legacy. And us as men, if we aren't about leaving a legacy, then we're not doing all that we're supposed to do. That's where this purpose comes back into it again.
Yeah.
Because we all have this purpose, but a lot of us can't tap into it. We don't know it.
Yeah.
If we're not sitting down with like-minded man to sit down and have these kind of big man reasoning, you know, it's lost.
Yeah.
There's so
Yeah,
much
yeah,
man out there lost and their purpose is lost.
Yeah, you know, part of the thing that I think about when I think about men's mental well-being and success, men used to have brotherhoods of men.
Yep.
We used to have brotherhoods where men would be amongst men. And I know there was some conversations that we had, and there's some conversations that we've probably had individually outside of this space about, is this space for men or is it for women or is it for everybody? And we have to have spaces where men can just talk about masculine stuff, talk about our pain and our journey. And we don't want someone to fix it. We just want someone to hear it.
Hear it. That's right.
We're not here to save people. We're here to support people. When I started working with young people, because of my own trauma, I thought, I'm going to save everyone from going to jail. None of my young people ain't going to jail ever again. About 5 years in, I realised that's a nonsense. Some of them have to go jail. Some of them have to go behind the door because that's
Because
part
they're
of their
still on their
journey.
journey.
That's right.
That's-
Exactly.
So it's not my job to save you from going behind the door. What my job is to support you on how you
On your
function
journey, but you
when you
can't stop
come
it.
out from behind the door.
And give him advice. If you can stop him from going in, you succeed.
Well, if you're meant
but
to
you
do
can't stop.
better
You
than that,
can't.
you're
You
gonna
can't
do
stop
better than
everyone, innit? You can't stop everyone, like
No.
you said, innit? So,
Yeah.
Let me say something. It's powerful what you said. This is why I said we just wanted to be clear that this is a men's show, and if women by chance happen to benefit from it or observe it or listen, and it benefits them, then that's good. That's a good outcome. But it's for men. The language, the communication, the topics, it's about men. This is why I'm an advocate for men's spaces, boys' schools. You know, we had, when we was young, we used to have Cubs and Scouts.
yeah, Scouts,
Boys'
Cub Scouts
Brigade,
and
yeah?
all
that.
Yeah. Man used to go to the army.
Yeah.
If you didn't go to
Cadets
the
and all
army,
that, innit?
yeah, you'd probably go to prison. You see what I'm trying to say to you? But either which way, you were around men that would either show you an example of what to do or
what
what
a
not
good
to
man
do.
looks like, basically.
What to do or what not to do. You understand? In these situations, you understand? And really, what it's supposed to have been doing is supposed to start it from in the family. You understand? Through that familial take a village approach where you have unks, you have godfather, cousin, big bro, daddy. You get me? Every man was supposed to, but that's broken down now. The man is not even welcome in the family, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah.
Yeah,
If you
in some
find most
respects.
men are on, I don't know. I live by myself. Do you?
I've got my own.
Yes.
I've lived
I
by
live by
myself since I
myself
was
now.
24.
However,
Yeah.
I've lived with.
Yeah.
I was married for 18
But
years,
most man,
as you know.
most
So
man,
for 18 years, I
most
lived
man live
with,
by
with
themselves.
somebody.
And what
You know,
happens to those
you
men
know-
that live by themselves, they die by themselves.
themselves. 'Cause
They die by
the
themselves.
Bible says it's not good for man to
I'll
be
be
alone.
honest with you. I'll be honest with you. I'm waiting to get with somebody that I believe I can live with again. 'Cause it ain't easy.
Yeah.
The combination.
Would you
the
prefer to live
combinations-
by yourself or with somebody?
I prefer to wake up every morning next to my missus. 100%. I've done it for 18 years and loved it. I hate the fact that man want to live alone. It shouldn't be that way. When you think about it, when we was growing up, most families are family, man and woman in a
But
home.
look at some of the dysfunctionality.
Yeah,
in
there
those
is a lot of
families.
dysfunction now, for
Like,
sure.
that
There is
causes
a
a lot of
lot. There is a
trauma.
lot of dysfunction now. It's difficult now. Hence why it's got to be the right choice. If you're gonna do that, otherwise it's gonna last 6 months and he's broke up. It's gonna last 3 months and he's gone. A year if you're lucky. So the choice has to be perfect. But I would say to every man out there who's watching this right now, if you're not working towards that union, you should be.
Especially with the cost of living crisis. Right now, bro.
right.
Yeah. To warm up
Support
a
each
house
other.
right now.
You don't need for money.
You
Oh,
need somebody
gosh.
for chippy on the electric
you need
bill.
somebody for balance and helping.
Because
Yeah,
that
boss.
bill are high.
Bridget,
You
there's
know,
certain
put on
times.
socks and coat and just wrap up in a one room with one
Listen,
heater.
I got this dodgy
Brother.
ankle.
A paraffin heater. I remember when we used to bungle up in a one room, you know.
Brother, we
Me,
need a
my mother,
paraffin.
and
Yeah.
my sibling them, and we just have one paraffin. Remember how much of us used to get them burned? Like,
I burn up my hand, I burn up my
paraffin
dressing
heater burn,
gown.
like, you just say, oh, this thing hot. But you see the sufferation that we went through, that is part of what makes us
Shapes
the
you.
man who them are we are today. And we got to remember, there's a lot. I always come back to this trauma thing. 85 left school. 87, 88, 89. That's when we had our crack epidemic. That's when that's when a lot of trauma manifests today. So a lot of the young people that we see today, a lot of the man them that we see today, they got them. And the reason why it became so prevalent in our community, I think back to some of my own people then. Like, we know what racism is trauma. When you're constantly thinking about how am I going to be perceived when I go into the shop? How am I going to be perceived when I go into the school by the teachers? Racism is traumatic in itself to experience that. But a lot of the guys our age, 50 plus, like, we had some traumatic stuff happen to us.
100%, man.
Borstal,
Right.
dysfunctional families. You know, I talk about the generation, like
Can I
coming
tell
from
you?
Jamaica.
Can I tell you? Yeah. My granddad, yeah, was a pastor. As I said, yeah, he ran the partner. But he was light skinned, and he said that I was too black to be in his family.
Yes.
Flipping heck.
Yeah?
Imagine that.
Yes, because all of them
what
things
that does-
divided.
imagine
Yeah,
what
this
that
is in
does to a
Jamaica,
child, though.
where you have your
And
own
this is not-
grandfather
This is
saying,
not a
"No,
white guy.
you're-
This is not a
you're
white
too
guy
black.
saying that. to you.
Exactly.
What you getting off from your family?
I'll tell you some of the nonsense that.
This is my
and you see me
grandfather.
squeeze my nose. There
Yeah,
used to be
listen,
a thing that
there was a
Jamaican
thing.
parents, they used to
Yeah,
squeeze
me
pick their
used to
nose
do that
and
same
take two
thing.
broad
Me
and
used to
I
try and
squeeze up
straighten
them.
my nose with my yeah. Me, I had a friend George from next door. Yeah. And George used to have a straight nose, and he used to say, "Boy, Marley, you have a big nose. Yeah, why you not have a small nose like mine?" And then every minute, I say, "How you get your nose small?" He say, "You just go like this." Every day, man, I try to straighten out my nose. Yeah,
But guess what?
Try to be like George from next door.
But it's still
George from
prevalent.
next door
It's
was
still prevalent today. How
Can
many
you see how
people
that
is
does
bleaching?
The bleaching.
How much people is
Brother,
bleaching?
you know who my mentor was?
Who?
Fanzarelli.
Oh,
You know,
the
from
Fonz,
Days.
the Fonz.
From
Happy
Fonz.
Days, the
How
Fonz days.
Fanzarelli is supposed to be my mentor, brother?
No way.
Is your idol. Yeah, look
Idol.
up to the idol, like the
Yeah,
boy.
me I walk to school with comb in my back pocket. I try to straighten out me here. And me here can't straighten out, dog. Brother,
Can you
it's
see
a lot
what
of
I mean
trauma,
about
bro.
the trauma? Unless
This
we
is what
do
I'm
this
saying,
work,
bro.
and,
It's
and
a
this
lot.
is part of the healing.
I don't want to
and
get too emotional.
and when we share our narratives,
Yeah.
our narratives are gonna be a next man's roadmap. It's gonna give them some ideas. It's gonna help them do some thinking. It's gonna help them pause. It's gonna help them think. How do these man's stories relate to me? How do I understand myself? Because there's so much things that I think men need to take time for themselves. And yes, 2 and is better than 1. We want to be in relationships. We want to be in long-term
But
relationships.
can I ask the same question from
Go on.
everyone in it? Because I was the only one who answered it, I think. Would you prefer living with a woman?
That's a deep one. That's next week.
All right. He passed.
To be
Wait.
continued.
He's passed on the question.
passed it.
Scotty,
Yeah.
would you prefer?
I've done it for a number of years.
Of course, I know you was married like I was.
I was married for a number of
Yeah,
years.
I know. I know.
I
Would you prefer it though? That's the question. Now,
I came up looking at my grandfather and my grandmother. They were the role models for me, and they were like bun and cheese. They was like escovitch and fish. They was like breadfruit and ackee. They was
Batty
just,
and bench.
and they was just. You know what my grandmother used to say to me?
I think
She used to
Scotty's
say,
gonna pass.
your grandfather is the head of this family, but I am the neck. And with gentle persuasion, the neck can get the head to turn in any
Of
direction.
course,
that it wants
just
to.
manipulate. Just
real.
manipulate.
So now, in regards to your question,
That's wise.
I want to. Of course, I want to be in
No, would you prefer is the question. No, we want to be. Would you prefer? What I mean by
wanna
prefer,
wake
what
up
I mean by
and-
prefer is
I'm not doing
everyone.
bad.
You
I'm not
live
doing
by
bad.
yourself, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
So all 4 of us live by ourselves right now. Yeah. So is your status is that right now as we speak. So what I'm asking is, I would prefer to live with a woman. I'm happy to say that all day long. I've done it before.
Would I?
Would you prefer to be?
No, if you
I'll
got
be
the-
honest
if
with
you
you
got the
now,
good
not
one.
right now.
Not right now. Okay.
I'll just be 100% straight. Right now,
That's
where
what I'm
I am
asking.
in my life,
Yeah.
right now, there's some things about me that I understand I still need to work on. And there's some things about me that's untidy. When I say untidy, I'm very cleanly. But one of the things that I like is peace. And one of my pieces,
That's why
sometimes I need
it's all about
solitude.
the right choice.
I need solitude sometimes.
You see, when you're with the right woman,
Not until
trust me.
So let me
it's
then
sweet.
So let me let him answer.
So where these
So would you
two-
prefer? Would you
Yes,
prefer firstly?
but then I'm coming from a different angle. I've
Right.
never been married. I'm 58 in 2 weeks' time.
Right.
Yep. And I can only hand my hands up and say, the relationship I'm in now, right, I entered when I was like 50, 51. And that is the most serious relationship I've been in my life.
Serious?
So
Wow.
I've
So
lived
new.
the opposite to you lot.
why ain't you guys living together yet? Is
We
there a
will.
reason?
Yeah, there is a reason. There's a
Right.
reason. And then if it wasn't for that reason,
Then
I
you
would be right now. And
So is that, are you
happily.
guys looking to work on that reason?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
That
she's
is
of the same
something-
mindset.
Yes, that is
once we square those reasons off.
That is
then-
going to happen. But I've always grown up as that man. I'm just Gallison, gal here, gal there, everywhere.
So
I never
was
keep
I.
no,
So
I
was
never
I.
keep
But
no
I settled down.
relationship.
I settled
That
down.
from
To be
you,
honest, I
Mark.
settled down.
I can count serious relationship that I've had.
No, because they
on
get them
one
iced tea, you
hand.
know.
I know.
Ice
So
water.
can I.
Let me tell
Get
you,
them ice
and
water.
nothing ever went more than 2 years. Apart from this one
I've
I'm
done
in
the
now.
nine.
Ask you a question.
I've done the 9 years.
I've done none of
I've
that.
done the 6 years. I've done the 18
I've
years.
done no
I've done the
sentence.
2
You've
years.
done enough bird, bro. Jesus
I've done no
Christ, bro.
sentence.
You've done
That's
enough bird, bro.
That's the reason
We've only got a few,
bro.
listen, we've only got a few minutes left, and I really, really enjoyed the first session. And you know what? Even though we didn't have a treatment or a proper script, we just kind of improvised.
Yeah, but that's how
I
it
think
just
that
flows.
was the beauty about this session.
100%.
We've only got a few minutes, and I just would like to maybe you guys to summarize, starting with you, Anthony, and then Scott, and then finish with Mark.
I'll tell you what, this, like I said earlier, what you said triggered something in me today. This whole conversation has triggered stuff in me today. I've been able to talk about something that I've never said publicly before, other than in the bedroom, next to those people that I just mentioned, those 6 years, 18 and whatnot. That's it. And my daughter, my oldest child. So I want to thank every one of you guys, seriously, for bringing that out of me today. So I'm loving this. And I look forward to next week.
Beautiful.
Hence why.
And your answer to my question.
Say no more, my bro. Scott.
Yeah, I just find these spaces for me is very therapeutic and very kind of not healing per se, but we are sharing vulnerabilities and we're sharing knowledge and wisdom. We're sharing old Caribbean sayings. We're giving ourselves, and that's the measure of a man. For me, success is how does my time here enrich the lives of others? I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about how does me, Anthony Scotty, how does my gift, and I've been very privileged that I've been able to go on so many different platforms and share that gift. And one of the gifts that the big man gave me, we got that thing like that. Yeah. And I'm privileged that I'm able to share that. So yeah, thank you, Milo. I charge you. Mark, I've always admired Mark. Growing up over south, your sound. Them South, man, they was different,
It was.
It's a whole different gravy over there, man.
Well, them South, man,
They go everywhere.
I got so excited, but that was it. Being
nice
busy
now.
again, no, I got back over and across them. Spencer, it was nice hearing and talking about some of the stuff that triggered you, and like, one of the things that we were going to say is forewarning. If anything triggers anybody, we've got some numbers they can access either via the show or there's always associations. That's the BACP, British Association of Counselling and Psychotherapy. That's the body that I'm with. We've got BATAM, which is the Black and Asian Therapeutic Network. Or there's lots of information online about spaces where you can go and access support. So
Reach out to Legacy and we'll signpost you, man.
reach out to
100%.
I'm grateful that I was able to share my voice today, and that's me.
Thank you, Scott.
Mark?
Go ahead, bro.
Following on from what you say, I definitely want to big up Marlo. Because I tell you this now, whether we know it or not, just us, 4 of us here, just having this little reasoning for 2 hours, we may not know the impact that it has out of door.
Outside of-
but it will definitely have an impact. And I get to know this through social media. See some of the things I do. Like, I get up and I go for my morning walks and we do our thing, walk and talk. And I've had a couple of men bringing me up and, boy, you've inspired me to get up and walk and talk, get up and walk
Yeah,
or
I
do
see
this.
that. I
And
see you do that.
everything, even if it's only one person it touches, it's something. So I know the 4 of us here, 4 men that the road can identify with as such and think, right, them man, they can talk deep like that, then it opens them up. So, you know what? If this never went on, it's going on for another 3 more weeks. But if it didn't, just today, I know will touch and trigger and help other people out there and let them go and seek help or let them look into themselves and
Work
think,
on themselves,
work
do
on themselves. How
what
can
needs
I
to
be
go
a
to.
better person and everything else? These things are needed. Because when they look at the likes of us, yes, we got our professional daytime things, but most of them are just looking at you lot as some Saturday night swagger people.
Yeah.
When I first started doing my talk show back on Baseline in the day, and I used to get people checking me, but right, Mark, but you got some intelligence about you and this and that. And I look at them and said, yeah, man, because all you know me is them time I wasn't drinking rum. I'm just a brandy drinking, gal whining man about the place, and you understand? So you judge the book by the cover
what you see, yeah.
until you open it up and delve into the chapters and see that there's a lot of depth to these people, not just what we see on the front. You know, like the iceberg scenario, you see on
Yeah,
top, but
yeah.
underneath, there's so much more. We're onions with
Very true.
layers.
You know, my mother used to say the stone that the builders rejected became the chief cornerstone.
Aye.
And so sometimes God have to hide the precious stones
Yes.
in some things that don't look attractive until
'Cause it's
you
not for
really
everybody.
excavate it
Yes.
and dive into it and explore it to find out this was a
Why
precious.
you think there's no diamond or gold sitting on top of the land?
Exactly.
Understand.
Or oil. Just
Anything
sitting,
good, you
sitting
have
there.
to go for
Anything
it.
you have to go
Yeah.
deep and go
They've
find
go
it.
deeper.
You know?
And so, you know, we thank you for your time, guys. And you know what? We're doing this out of labor of love. None of us are getting paid. You know, in fact, I want to big up the
Everything can't be
studio here.
about money.
The
Myriad.
studio, you see Myriad Studios and the team here. They've been gracious in allowing us to share our conversation in this studio. And we're going to big up Will, that's doing our media and our filming. I want to big up Spencer Ferron in his absence. He will be here next year. Next week. And I just want to thank the audience for taking the time to listen in. And hopefully we'll be back next week with greater depth and greater insight in terms of who we are as men, what our purpose, plan, and position are in terms of our family, community, society, and leaving a legacy. And so we thank you guys.
And don't forget, I think you wanted to touch on suicide and mental health.
Yeah, I wanted
Something.
to dedicate this episode to Dave Courtney.
100%.
Recently lost Dave Courtney. For those who don't know, Dave was a very colourful character, and he lived his life to the best. But he, killed himself.
About 4 weeks ago now.
3-4 weeks ago.
I was at the funeral
and
2 weeks
the
ago.
reason why he killed himself, he done a video before he killed himself, and we saw it after. And I was in the man's house. We used to go to the man's house for after parties and years, and to know that a man like that could kill himself,
It
it could
shocked me.
happen to anybody. You
It shocked
understand?
me, yeah. Really
That's right. That's what I'm talking about.
To his
the
family
onions.
and to his children, if he's got children, my condolences sincere from my heart. I know what it is to lose family and people that are close to us, yeah. So this one is for Dave Courtney. Big up yourself.
Big up Dave
Can I
Courtney.
just big up some of the,
R.I.P.
we've had some listeners.
Oh, have we?
So I want to say good evening shouts going out to Jermaine Reed. Big up yourself. Natalie Clark White, apologies. Natalie has full this up with the whole heap of conversation. And I'm not going to be able to get to read them out. Natalie, I do apologise, but we will go through them, and your presence is appreciated.
Big time.
Got to say big up H. Alexander. Said it's been good. Nikita, great first show, gents. And Melanie Robinson, well needed and fabulous show. And to all the silent listeners, people just listening in, we appreciate
We
all
thank
of
you all.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. Next week, family. God bless.
Family.
Sign
And
out.
good night.
Good night. I don't know
Bless.
the thing already. Can I get up? Can I stand up?
Not yet.